I first got involved in spinning when I moved to mid Wales, and we had a small holding which had 1.5 acres of grass attached to it. And rather than get a ride-on lawnmower, which is what my husband wanted, we decided to get alpacas and sheep to mow the grass instead of us having a lawnmower. And of course, the alpacas and the sheep all need to be sheared once a year. And once we had 6 fleeces every year, I thought, what am I going to do with them? So I joined a local spinning and weaving guild and learned how to spin from there. And I was very fortunate that the people that I was surrounded by had an absolute passion for spinning and all things pertaining to the fleece of the sheep. And so they were able to give me some really good advice as to how to process the fleece when I got it, when they were sheared, and then also what to do with it afterwards. Well, for me, in the first instance, it was doing something useful with this byproduct of having the sheep and the alpacas. And it's making sure that nothing's going to waste, really. And at least if you can spin a fibre, you know, you can do something with it, like say whether it's knitting, crochet, weaving. And it's quite therapeutic as well. I mean, you can actually sit and just have a conversation, continue spinning, and there's always plenty of fleece, you know, to be got. In this part of Scotland, obviously, there's a lot of white sheep. And normally when you get a fleece, it will come off the sheep, so you'd wash it and let it dry. It's quite a lengthy process, you know, soak it in quite hot soapy water to start with, and then you gently bring the temperature down as you put clean water in, until eventually you're left with something that doesn't really resemble anything that you could use. In order to spin it, you need all the fibres to be going in one direction. It makes it a little bit easier to spin. So we pull the locks apart, and then what you do, the exciting bit, is you would card it. So I've got some traditional carders here, which are basically 2 paddles with lots of teeth on them. What you would do is you would fill the carder with some locks of your fleece going from the base of the lock to the tip of the lock. You would then be able to gently pull the fibres apart, and you're transferring the fibres from one card to the other in a gentle manner until they're all nicely lined up and they're in one direction. Traditionally, you would have had these, and then you would have rolled them up into a nice tight band, and that would be called a rowlag. And I've got some other rowlags in here that I did before. So the rowlag's a nice tube of wool, okay? And if you spin directly from the end of the tube of wool, you get quite a fluffy yarn. I tend to spin the flat fibres from the drum carder, so it's a more robust yarn, a sturdier yarn. And it just depends what you're going to use it for as well, and what you get used to. When you've finished spinning it, what you would do is you would wind it onto something called a niddy-noddy. Now, all a niddy-noddy does is it just keeps the yarn in one continuous loop as you take it off the bobbin. It just keeps it in one continuous loop, and then you can tie it together, give it a wash, and then it's ready for use again after that, once you've got it off the niddy-noddy. And that's the main process. Getting the fibres, the yarn nice and thin is the most important part. And then if you're really good, like a friend of mine knit this. This is knitted with hand-spun Shetland wool. So she hand-spun this, and then she knitted a loose scarf, which is really pretty.